macOS 26 Tahoe has over 100 new features and an all-new liquid glass design, but Apple also added several new settings that you might want to consider changing right away. So here are 22 of those settings that you need to change on macOS Tahoe. Okay, so let's start with the menu bar, because macOS Tahoe introduces a new way to clean up your menu bar. So if you go into your settings and go down here, you'll see that we have a new section for menu bar as a main option over here. And then in this, we now have the option to disable certain menu bar controls. So you could see these different ones right here. And then if you go down, this is where it gets really useful. We have allow in the menu bar. So here is where you can disable certain applications, especially applications like the Adobe Creative Cloud, which can be very finicky and kind of force their way into the menu bar. Now you can manually disable that so it never shows up in your menu bar again, and you can kind of clean it up there. So I would highly recommend going in here and disabling the applications that you do not want up in your menu bar ever. Now, if you're like me and you're always using the preview application to view and sign documents and PDFs, there's a new setting in macOS Tahoe when you're in dark mode that will turn the PDF document into a dark mode document. So let me show you what I mean. So if you go up to your menu bar up here when you're in dark mode, and then you go up to the top and then go to view, if we go down, there's a new option that says use dark appearance for PDF. And if you click on that, that will transform the whole PDF itself into a dark mode, PDF document, which is really cool. And now it's more, just consistent with the dark mode throughout the macOS system. Now, something else you might want to do in macOS Tahoe is take advantage of the new Magnifier application. This is great if you are a student, you're in a classroom, and you maybe need to zoom in on a presentation and take screenshots and things like that. You can now do that easily with the Magnifier application, but by default, it defaults to your built-in webcam or maybe an external webcam that you have, but you could actually use your iPhone as the camera. So if you go up to your menu bar up here and then go to camera, you can change this to one of your iPhones, maybe that you have with you in the classroom. So if I change this real quick, you can see that now it's going to be using my iPhone Air as the source for the image there. So I would highly recommend, if you're going to use this feature, to change your camera to your iPhone. It makes it a lot easier. And you can just use this slider to zoom in. So of course, if you have a Pro iPhone, it might work a little bit better, but you can see how it looks if you zoom in, and then you can just take screenshots and everything from there. Okay, so we know that macOS Tahoe introduces a brand new supercharged spotlight search. If you don't know much about that, watch my video on macOS Tahoe where I show all the new features, because I go into a deep dive about the spotlight search. So anyways, we know that's changed. However, there is something that you want to change related to the spotlight search results that you get, because by default, if you're searching for an application, you will notice that all of your iPhone applications show up, and it's pretty cluttered, and you see a lot of applications that you probably were not looking for. So to get rid of those iPhone applications and only search for applications that are actually on your Mac, you just want to go to these three dots right here, click on that, and then deselect Show iPhone Apps. And now when you deselect that, you will see it's no longer checked off, and now you will only see your Mac applications, and it's a lot cleaner in here, and you could find most likely what you were looking for to begin with. But let's say you're searching for things that are not applications. Let's say you're searching for files, and I search for screenshot, for example. I search for that. You'll notice sometimes that you will get a lot of results that you are not looking for at all. Like some of these, I'm not looking for Discord. I'm not looking for this Xcode header file. There's so many things in here that I'm not looking for when I search for a query. So let's change that. So it's actually going to be things that we're looking for. So go into your system settings, go into Spotlight, and from here we want to go down until we see results from apps. And you want to deselect any application that you do not want to see a result from when you search for something using Spotlight. Like I don't want to search for voice memos or WhatsApp or shortcuts even. I don't want to search for that because I usually just have my shortcuts application I open up. So you can just determine what you want to remove. And then also down here, this is important as well, look for results from system. So if you never want to see folders, you can deselect that. If you never want to see menu items, like the things that are up here, you can deselect that. So you have these different options. You got to be careful with these, especially documents, because a lot of times you will be searching for documents. So you might want to keep that enabled, but you can tweak this here so you can really narrow down what you're searching for in Spotlight. And the next thing you need to change in macOS Tahoe is actually right below that. That is clipboard search. So yes, with macOS Tahoe, for the first time ever, we now have a real clipboard history. So this is off by default. So you do need to enable it. And this is the kill switch to enable it. And it says clipboard search. Allow Spotlight to search search and display items you've copied to your clipboard, items on your clipboard will be available for 8 hours, and it ensures that personal and sensitive information may appear in search results. So let's check out how that works. If we pull up Spotlight Search by pressing on Command Space, and then we go over to the very final one over here, we can either press Command 4 to get there, or if we go back right here and then just simply click on this icon, we can get into our clipboard. And you can see these are my recent clippings. So it will show what it is that I copied, the time that I copied it, the application that I was using. So it shows Safari here, for example, and also this button right here will recopy that clipping. So if I go down here to something from much earlier at 9:44, I can just click copy and it will copy that to my clipboard and I can paste it. And again, this will show you everything up to 8 hours. Now we're going to stay in the Spotlight Search for one last little tip here for macOS Tahoe, and that is going to be for setting up quick keys for Spotlight actions. So this is something you can get pretty complex with this, but I like to keep it simple with this. So basically what we're going to do is go over here to actions. So you could press Command 3 or just click the third icon over. Kind of looks like the shortcuts icon. So I'll just press Command 3 and that opens up actions. So what this is it shows you different actions you can do along with a keyboard shortcut you could put in to trigger that action. So for example, if I want to send a message to a certain person, I don't have to type in, open up messages, go to the messages app, type it out, all of that. I can just simply type in MSG because that's what I set up right here to the right. And if I press on return, it will automatically prompt me to send, whatever message to whatever recipient. And the thing you want to change here is just find the actions that you want to do often. So really the main point of this is to be able to do repetitive tasks frequently and easily. So it's supposed to save you time. So for example, let's find an example real quick. Let's say you're somebody who likes to create a lot of reminders throughout the day. So we could set a new reminder right here. So it shows new reminder under reminders. We can go over here to where it says add quick keys, and we just simply type in the little phrase that we want to type into our Spotlight Search. And then when I press return, it will create that reminder. So if I just put in REM maybe, or you could just put like R, you could keep it as simple or as complex as you want. So I'm just going to put in REM for reminders. And now if I pull up my Spotlight Search and I just randomly type in REM and then hit return, you can see it will automatically prompt me to add reminders and I can change certain things in here. So if I press return on this, you can see I can go into videos right here and I can change, what I want this to save to. So it will show me all my lists that I have inside of reminders. And this is where I put in, what I need to do. So get bananas, for example, I could add that to my grocery list. So there we go. And then I can run it right here and it will add that to my reminders straight from the Spotlight Search. Now, something else you need to know about the clipboard history, just going back here for a second, if you copy a password or you copy something that's really sensitive information, the software will know, like macOS Tahoe will know, and it will avoid copying certain sensitive information so it does not show up here in plain text. So that's something good to know. And speaking of security, the next thing you need to do is check out our sponsor Incogni because they can help you clean up your name online, and that's more necessary now than ever before because new data brokers and people search sites are popping up consistently. Like every other month, I feel like I see a new one, and they're constantly collecting and selling your personal information and posting it online for anybody to find with a simple Google search. Or even ChatGPT these days could be finding that information, but this includes info like your address, your phone number, your login credentials, and more. I used to get so many spam text messages and emails until I got my information wiped from all these sites using Incogni. That was years ago, and thankfully, I've never had anyone show up at my house or had my identity stolen, but I'm sure that's happened to some people out there. So their automated system works around the clock, reaching out to data brokers on your behalf to request the removal of your personal data. It's super simple to use because you just create an account, you tell Incogni what data you want removed, and you sit back and let their system do its thing. And like I always say for these ad reads, if you do a Google search for your phone number or your email and you see your name pop up with it, you're going to need Incogni. And thankfully for you, you can get 60% off of an annual plan by using my special link down below or using code Butch at checkout. Now here's something else that you need to change on macOS 26 Tahoe. So let's go up to our control center because not only do we have a brand new redesign there with the liquid glass, but it's also much more customizable now than ever before by a long shot. So it's much more like iOS now, I would say. So if you go up here, we have edit controls down here. And when you pull that up, when you click on that, you now have a full window that has all your controls here. You could either click or you could drag them over here and maneuver them around to the position that you like. And you'll notice that you have a lot of different options here that you didn't have before. So you have your different utilities, your screenshots. So you have like, screen recordings, screenshots. You could do that straight from the control center now. Your HomeKit, of course, all these different things. The tile windows you could add right there. And what's cool about this as well is that if we go up here to the top of the menu bar to the left of Control Center. When you're in this little edit mode, if you click on the plus, that's going to create a new page up top. So you can create a custom Control Center page that has a bunch of different icons in it. So now if I just create this one right here, for example, and I click on done, now if I click on this item in my menu bar, it will pull up that custom Control Center that I set up for that specifically. So of course my main Control Center will be this over here, but if you want a secondary one, kind of like a folder up in the menu bar, you can do that. And I think that's really great, especially for power users. And by the way, in the Control Center, it's really easy to change the size as well. You can just right click right here and you can change the size of these, and you can also copy to menu bar. So if you have something that you know you want to pull up to the menu bar, but you maybe don't want to drag it, or you just want to right click, you can just right click on it and copy to menu bar, and now it's going to show up there in the menu bar as well. Now, something else you'll want to change in macOS Tahoe is making sure that you have your phone connected to your Mac so you can take advantage of the new live activities on the Mac. So yes, now with macOS Tahoe and iOS 26, your live activities from your phone will now show up on your Mac as well, so long as your phone is actually connected. So go into your settings and then go to desktop and dock, and then scroll down until you get to the widgets section, and you want to choose your iPhone. So make sure you choose the right iPhone right here, and that's what's going to show up for iPhone mirroring, widgets, and of course live activities. So let me show you how this works. So there you can see we have our Flighty live activity up there in the menu bar now, so you can keep track of your flight from your Mac now and not just your iPhone, for example. So here's something else you might want to change in macOS Tahoe to customize the look of your software. So if you go into a folder and you right click on that, and then we go down here to customize, we now have some new options, because you can see that now when we click on orange, for example, it changes the entire folder to orange, not just the little dot next to it. But we can also take that a step further with an icon. So I can click on any of these icons, or I can go to emoji and choose a custom emoji that will go inside of that folder. So this is really good for customization and really making certain folders stand out. So let me do it one more time for this one. You can also do it quickly from this menu. So if I want to change this one to dark blue, I can do that. And if I go to customize and go to emoji, I can choose a different emoji for that one. So that's nice, and it's great for customizing. Now, also you can change the default. So if you want the default to be different, go into your settings, go down to appearance, and then right here we have a brand new option for folder color, where you can change the default folder color to be any of these, or you can choose a specific color. And speaking of customization, let's talk about the lock screen, because we can also customize the lock screen now with macOS Tahoe, and you might have skipped over this when you first installed it. So go into your settings, go down to the wallpaper section, and then now we have a new area in here for clock appearance. So now if you go to clock appearance, this will allow you to change the font for your lock screen along with the weight of that font. So if you want it to be much thicker, you could do that. Or if you want it to be much lighter, you can go all the way over here to the left. We can now customize it, and you can have show large clock either on screensaver and lock screen, on lock screen, or never. So you might want to change that as well based on your preference. And now here's something you might want to change if you have a MacBook and you're susceptible to motion sickness, whether you're in a car, a plane, a boat, whatever the case may be. You might want to go into your accessibility settings and turn on vehicle motion cues. So that's been available for the iPhone for a little bit, but it's now come to Mac for the first time with macOS Tahoe. So you might want to go in here and set this up and configure it to your liking. And speaking of accessibility, there's something else that you might want to change in here, and this is related to system-wide reader. So you guys know how in Safari you have the reader view to just be able to see the website contents easier without distractions. We can now do that system-wide for the Mac. If you go into accessibility and then down to read and speak, we now have accessibility reader up here, and you press Command Escape to pull that up. So I'm in Notion right now showing you guys the script for this specific video. So if I press Command Escape, you will see that it's going to pull up the accessibility reader down here, and now it's going to show me everything in that window in an accessibility view. So it will read it for me if I would like. I can change the speed of how it's reading. I could change the font. I have all these different things I could change in terms of the line spacing, the word, the character, all of that. You could show or hide links, playback highlighting. You have all these different options, which are going to be great for some people. And you can see it actually shows Notion here as well, and the title of that window. So might want to play around with that if that's something that you could benefit from. Now you might have noticed this throughout the video so far, but if you look up top at my menu bar, there's really no menu bar there. So it's basically fully transparent now. And some people I've learned are not the biggest fan of that, but thankfully there is a setting you can change to bring that back. So all you have to do is go into your settings and go to menu bar. And then right here we have show menu bar background. So you might want to turn that on if you're somebody who likes separating the menu bar from your wallpaper, for example. And you can change other things in here as well, like how many recents show up, if you want to automatically hide or show the menu bar, things like that. And there's also another way to do that. If you want to remove more of the liquid glass transparency throughout macOS, you could also do that. It's another way of kind of getting that bar back up there. So if you go into your accessibility settings and then go down to display, and we're going to go down here to reduce transparency. And if you turn that on, you will notice that we don't have much transparency at all. So it really makes this like pure white up top. And of course you can see the background added for the dock, and you will see that throughout macOS. So if you're not a fan of liquid glass, you can go ahead and turn that on as well. But of course the option specifically for the menu bar only is just one little toggle right there if you would like that. Here's another setting you might want to change. So if you go into your accessibility settings, and then we're going to go down to hover text. So now if we go to hover text, we can hover over certain text to display a large text view of that item. So you can see you just have to press Command when you're hovering over text. Let me go into Safari to show you. So here I am in Safari, and let's say I can't really read this little text right here. If I hold down on the Command key, it will actually show me what that says. It will bring it up in a bigger view, as you could see there. And the way you're supposed to do this is just to keep holding down on the Command key and just kind of, go over different items. Just mouse over certain items that you need to be able to read in a big view, and it will be able to show you that specifically for text. And if you find yourself using this a lot, you could also change the hover color. So if you want to change the color of that, you can do that. You can see you could just press on the Control to describe the color underneath the pointer. And you also have hover typing. That's not new in macOS Tahoe, but that is also there as well. So like I mentioned earlier, if you're like me and you use reminders on your Mac a lot, you're going to really like this next change, because we can now auto categorize certain items inside of our reminders. So you can see I have a reminder list right here, and I put down a lot of items that I don't want to forget for my upcoming trip, and they're not really organized very well. So I might miss something. It's just not really well organized. Well, now with macOS Tahoe, we don't need it to be well organized, because if we go up to our menu bar up here and go to File, we have a new Auto Categorize button. So if you click on that, that will auto categorize using Apple Intelligence all the items in here and put them into categories. So you can see it's doing its work right there. And there we go. It says multiple categories. So it breaks it down: electronics, food and beverage, miscellaneous, personal care, and travel essentials. Awesome. And you can also click right here as well. If you want to ever turn this off, you can do that. And then you get the option to keep or remove the sections that it created within that reminder. Now here's something else you might want to explore with macOS Tahoe, and this has to do with passwords. So now if you have a password saved in the passwords application and you go down here, there's a new option for view history. So you can now view the password history anytime you changed your password in the past. So it shows 3 months ago, I changed my password. If I go down to the dropdown, it will show me what that password was changed to and from previously right here. So you can also clear the history if you don't want that showing up anymore. And then the final two settings you want to change are going to be inside of photos and music. So if you go up to music and then you go up to the settings right here and then go over to playback, you want to make sure to change the song transition from crossfade to auto mix. So the new auto mix feature is amazing. So it uses AI machine learning to basically determine the best time to change to the new song. So it switches, it kind of fades into it, but it's more than just a crossfade. It's much better. So you want to make sure that's turned on if you're somebody who listens to music a lot from your Mac using Apple Music. And then don't forget, you could also pin items in your library over here. Now also for photos, you might want to go into your collections view and change the order of these. So if you click on the three dots right here and then go to reorder, this will allow you to change the order of the collections here. So if you don't like memories, like I don't really like seeing memories at the top, so you can change that so that maybe now your featured photos or your trips are all the way at the top. So maybe pinned and trips and albums. That way you can reorder it just like you can in the iPhone Photos application. So definitely something you should change if you use Photos at all on the Mac. So those are more than 20 settings that you might want to change after installing macOS Tahoe on your Mac. So hopefully it was helpful. If it was, give it a thumbs up. Let me know in a comment down below which setting you changed first. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.